بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وكرم على سيدنا محمد أحب من تحب وعلى آله وصحبه وجميع من يحبونه ويحب، وهب لنا في الدارين بحقه وبحقهم جميع من نحب ما نحب، وأدخلنا ومن نحب في من تحبه ويحب. جزاكم الله خير على هذا الاجتماع، وجعل الله سبحانه وتعالى اجتماعنا فيها انتفاع وارتفاع إن شاء الله، وجعل مجالسنا كلها مجالس خير، مجالس مربوطة بأهل الخير، مجالس مربوطة بالحبيب صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم، مجالس موصلة إلى المقصود الأعظم وهو رضا الله سبحانه وتعالى. ومن أدرك الله فأي شيء فاته، ومن فاته الله فأي شيء أدرك.
So Habiba started in the name of Allah and made a beautiful dua related to love, that would be relating to us being beloved and people of love, and then started with a beautiful dua that we be elevated and blessed, and that may we acquire the ultimate purpose, which is the good pleasure of Allah, and that those who attain Allah, nothing they've not missed anything, but those who miss the true point, then they can't really achieve anything in reality.
والمقصود من الحضور ليس حضور الأجساد، ولكن أيضا حضور القلوب مع الله سبحانه وتعالى والنية الصالحة، لأن النية مطية.
So the true purpose of these gatherings isn't just the presence of our bodies, but it's the presence of our hearts and having true hearts and true intentions.
ونحن في ختم لسيد الوالد الحبيب العلامة مفتي تعز سهل بن إبراهيم بن عور بن عقيل، والأم أو الأخت المتوفية رحمها الله رحمة، فاجتمع لنا السهولة والرحمة إن شاء الله.
So we are gathered here in remembrance of the blessed individuals who passed away, the blessed father of Habib Ḥāshim, who is Habib Sahl bin Ibrāhīm bin Umar, who was the Mufti, the Grand Mufti of Ta'iz, one of the great cities of Yemen, and also in remembrance of one of our great mothers, Rahmat Jan. So Allah has brought Sahl and Rahma, ease and mercy.
ومن المصادفات العجيبة أنكم عندما فتحتم هذه شبكات الاتصال كنا نسمع قصيدة لسيدي عبد الهادي السودي، وهو مدفون في مدينة تعز، وقد كان بينه وبين سيدي الحبيب إبراهيم تواصلات قوية جدا، وبين سيدي الحبيب سهل بن إبراهيم بن عقيل تواصلات قوية من جهة الروح.
So the amazing things whilst we were listening just before we joined you was a beautiful qasida that you were reading, the author of who was Abdul Hadi al-Saudi, who was from the same city as his blessed forefathers, Ta'iz, and there was connection and there was communication between both his father, Habib Sahl, and his grandfather, the great Habib Ibrāhīm.
وكان سيدي الوالد رحمه الله يداوم الاطلاع على ديوان سيدي عبد الهادي السودي وعلى زيارة سيدي عبد الهادي السودي كثيرا، كان بينهما اتصال روحي قوي.
And Habib is mentioning the great connection his father had with the author of that song that you were reciting, and he would often read from his diwan, his poetic collection, and he would often visit his resting place, and he had a great spiritual connection with him.
وكان سيدي الحبيب إبراهيم يقول أنه قال له سيدي عبد الهادي السودي، وكان هو من علماء القرن التاسع، كان معاصر لسيدي الشيخ أبو بكر بن سالم، توفي تقريبا سيدي عبد الهادي السودي سنة 932 هجرية على ما أتذكر. نعم لا 1032 ربما هجرية، يعني بعد سيدي الشيخ أبو بكر بن سالم، لأن الشيخ أبو بكر بن سالم توفي سنة 992. كان يقول هذه المدينة مدينتي أنا وأنت، ليست مدينة أحد.
So Habib just mentioning again about the great connection also his grandfather had, Habib Ibrāhīm, with the author of that poem, Habib Abdul Hadi al-Saudi, and who lived at the same time roughly as Sheikh Abu Bakr bin Salim, with the author passing away and lived in the 9th century, but passed away 1032, and they mentioned that Sheikh Abu Bakr bin Salim, who passed away 992 Hijri.
نعم. أما سيدي الوالد سهل بن إبراهيم بن عقيل رحمه الله، فكان كان رحمه الله من أخلاقه أنه كان يحب المساكين، وكم رأيته عدة مرات رحمه الله يعطي المساكين ويقول له يا سيدي فلان يا سيدي فلان، يعطي لهم بأيديهم النقود، مع أنه قليل ضعيف الحال، لم يكن ميسور الحال، كان بسيطا وكان يقبل أيديهم.
Oh, and Ḥabīb just mentioning some qualities of his great father, Ḥabīb Sahl, that he used to love the poor people, the masakin, that he'd go to them in a really humble state and he'd refer to them with much respect, and even though he was a simple man of little means, but he'd give what he had to the poor, and he'd even kiss their hands out of his humility and love for the poor.
نعم. وكان رضي الله عنه أخذ علومه عن سيدي الجد الحبيب إبراهيم بن عمر بن عقيل، وكان لا يرى أحدا مثل والده.
And in terms of his chain of transmission, the vast amount of his knowledge and connection was through his own father, who's the grandfather of Habib Ḥāshim, Habib Ibrāhīm bin Umar bin Aqīl, who he had an amazing respect and took great amounts from.
وقد أخذ عن كثير من علماء الأهدل في زبيد وفي علماء تعز بأمر من والده.
And then under the instruction of his father, who is Habib Ḥāshim's grandfather, he traveled to Zabid and he took from the family of Ahdal, and also he took from other scholars from Ta'iz.
وأخذ عن سيدي محمد داود إمام، وهذا السيد وهذا الإمام سيدي محمد كان يجله الحبيب سهل كثيرا كثيرا كثيرا، وهو من معاصره ومن تلاميذ من الآخذين على الحبيب إبراهيم، ولكن كان سيدي الوالد يجله، أخذ عنه علم الفقه وأخذ عنه علم المواريث وغيرها من العلوم.
So of the teachers of his father was the scholar Habib Muhammad ibn Dawood Imam, who had an amazing reverence and respect for Habib Sahl, Habib Ḥāshim's father, even though they were technically contemporaries, but he esteemed him greatly.
وهذا سيدي محمد.
And he took from him in terms of the knowledge of fiqh and specifically in inheritance law.
كان هذا سيدي محمد بن إمام يحب سيدي الوالد، وهو أصله تركي. جاء والده مع الحملات التركية واستوطن مدينة تعز وتزوج بها وأنجب سيدي محمد إمام، وأصله هو جاء من تركيا. نعم. وبقي هناك وتربى هناك.
And this great scholar Muhammad ibn Imam, who was originally from Turkey, after his father traveled here from those who traveled from Turkey, and he settled and married here, and he became a scholar in his own right.
كان سيدي الوالد رحمه الله من صفاته أنه كان متعلق بسورة الفاتحة كثير، ورده في اليوم آلاف الآلاف من سورة الفاتحة كل يوم.
And from the specific qualities of his father Habib Sahl is his great attachment to Surah Fatiha, that he had a daily word such that he would read thousands of times Surah Fatiha every single day.
ومن كان رضي الله عنه تغشاه الله بواسع رحمته، كان يحب الفقراء ويحب المساكين ويحب الضعاف ويكره المتكبرين، وإذا جاء شخص مترفع سواء كان بمظهر سلطة أو مظهر علم في نفسه شيء من الكبر كان لا يقبله أبدا.
One of the qualities of his father, may Allah enshroud him in mercy, was his love for the masakin, the fuqara, the poor and the weak and the downtrodden in society. And the opposite, those who had kibr and those who had arrogance, he had a disdain for. So those of leadership or even of knowledge who had the attribute of arrogance, he had a disdain for them.
وتغشاه الله بواسع الرحمة، كان شجاعا وكان حاد الذكاء.
And of his qualities is he was a brave man and he had a very sharp intellect.
ورضي الله عنه كان بعيد النظر، حتى أنه كان يتكلم عن أشياء ستقع في المستقبل فتحدث كما أخبر عنها رضي الله عنه.
May Allah be well pleased with him. And he was also he was long-sighted, such that he could perceive of things to come, and often he would make predictions of what would happen, and truly they would occur as he stated.
صاحب بصيرة وفراسة في الناس، يقرأ الإنسان من رأسه إلى كذا فيعرف الشخص من مجرد النظر إليه.
And he was also known for his basira and his firasa, this piercing inner sight, such that he could see someone and he could read his inner reality instantly.
مع هذا كان بسيطا في مأكله وبسيطا في مشربه وبسيطا في ملبسه وبسيطا في تعامله مع الناس.
But despite this, he was still a simple man in his eating and his drinking and his clothes and attire and his dealing with people.
لا يحب التكلف ولا يحب المتكلفين.
He did not love takalluf, which is like putting on an act or being false, and he did not love those who were of that attribute.
نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يتغشه بواسع رحمته.
We ask Allah to enshroud him with the vastness of mercy
وأن ينفعنا به.
and to benefit us through him.
كان يقول الحق مهما كان.
He was a person who would speak truth no matter what.
ولا يبالي سخط من سخط أو رضي من رضي.
And he did not care towards those who would disapprove or to those who would please, but rather he just spoke truth.
وقد طويت صحيفته طويت صحيفة هذه الأخت التي توفيت الأخت رحمة هذه.
And also regarding our sister and mother Rahmat, that her scrolls have been rolled up now.
ما هو الدرس الذي نستفيده نحن من هذا؟
What is the lesson that we can take from this?
أن الموت آت عن قريب كل له منه نصيب.
That death is proximate, that everybody has a portion of it.
كان سيدنا الحسن البصري يمشي في جنازة فقال له أحدهم من الميت؟
So that we, of this, like the great Tabi, Hassan al-Basri, would walk at a janazah and the one beside him would nudge him and say, who is the one that is dead or passed?
قال له أنا وأنت.
And then Hassan al-Basri said, me and you.
فإنك ميت وإنهم ميتون.
And then quoting the ayah that verily you have passed or are dead, and verily they also are dead or have passed.
كل من عليها فان.
That everyone who is upon it, i.e. earth, shall perish.
يكفينا من هذا كله التعلق بالصالحين وبر الوالدين.
But it is sufficient for us to attach to the righteous and to have righteousness with parents.
وكيف تكون اجتماعاتنا اجتماعات فيها خير فيها ما يقرب إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى.
And such that as our gatherings, that they be gatherings of goodness and gatherings which draw us close to Allah.
ومن يقل إني صغير أصبر حتى أخاف الله حين أكبر فإن ذا قد غره إبليس فقلبه مقفل مطموس. ومن يقل إني صغير
And the one that says, I am just small,
أصبر
I will be patient.
حتى أخاف الله حين أكبر
Or I will be patient, I will fear Allah when I become big.
فإن ذا قد غره إبليس.
Or for this individual, Iblis has deluded him.
فقلبه مغلق مطموس.
So his heart has been locked, مغموس.
نعم لا خير في من لم يتب صغيرا.
For verily there is no good in the one who does not repent whilst they are small or young.
ولم يكن بعيبه بصيرا.
So sorry, instead of small, probably the one who is young, who says, I repent when I am older.
إذن المقصود من هذا كله أن نتذكر الموت.
So that it is upon us to remember death, no matter what our age.
أن نحن كلنا المخاطب والمخاطبون كلنا سنموت.
So that we are all being addressed, and the lesson is that we are all going to die.
فطوبى لمن شغل أنفاسه بما يقرب إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى.
So glad tidings to the one whose breaths busy themselves in that which draws them to Allah.
وبالغاية التي من أجلها خلقنا.
And towards the ultimate end for which we have been truly created.
وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون.
And quoting the ayah, verily we have not created mankind or jinn except to worship us.
وقيل أن معنى يعبدون أي يعرفون.
And then in interpretation of the Quranic verse, to worship me, i.e. to know me.
المقصود أن كل عبادة من صلاة أو صوم أو صدقة أو زكاة أو حج أو غيرها هي عبادة تعرفك على الله.
So the ultimate purpose in all of these acts of worship, whether it be praying or fasting or zakah or hajj, ultimately it is all about drawing you close to Allah.
وتطوي المسافة بينك وبين الله. المسافة ليس المسافة المكانية لأن الله لا يحويه مكان.
And we speak about distance, it's not a literal physical distance because Allah does not occupy space.
إنما المقصود الاقتراب منه فاسجد واقترب.
But it's as it per the ayah, as the one who goes into sajda, that is truly becoming close.
وإنك كلما اقتربت ازددت معرفة به.
And that the more one draws close, the more one increases in knowledge of Allah.
وكلما ازددت معرفة به ازددت محبة له.
And the more that
وكلما تعرفت عليه أكثر زدت محبة له.
And the more that one knows Allah, the more that one increases in love of Allah.
لأن هناك علاقة فيزيائية ما بين المحبة والمعرفة.
Because there is a direct correlation between knowledge and love.
تسمى علاقة طردية. كلما زادت المعرفة زادت المحبة.
So it's like a direct link, such that when one increases, the other, such as when ma'rifah, our knowledge of Allah increases, one's love of Allah, one's mahabba increases.
وكلما زادت المحبة زاد الإنسان بالاقتراب.
Oh, so it's just that it's mutually correlated. So also when one increases in love, one also increases in ma'rifah, in knowledge of Allah.
وإذا زاد الاقتراب اتضحت صفات المحبوب.
Such that if one draws closer, the attributes of the beloved become clearer.
وإذا رأيت صفات المحبوب ازددت محبة له. لأنها صفات جمال.
And if one becomes freely or aware of the divine attributes, one will naturally increase in love.
وهذا هو الفرق ما بين من يسير بقلبه ومن يسير بجسمه فقط.
And that is the difference between someone who traverses with their heart and with someone who just traverses with their body alone.
أنا أحب لكل من يستمعني الآن.
So Habib was just advising, he would love if everybody who's listening could,
ولنفسي ولأخي,
for themselves
Habib,
and for us here,
ولكل الأحباب,
and for all of our beloved listeners,
أن نسير بقلوبنا قبل أجسادنا.
that we traverse with our hearts prior to just traversing with our bodies alone.
أن نزداد محبة لله.
i.e. that we increase in love of Allah.
أن نعرف ماذا نطلب.
And that we know that which we seek.
وأن تكون أعمالنا سواء كانت دعوية أو كانت عبادات.
Such that all of our acts, whether they be in terms of da'wah or in worship,
عمل من يحب.
The actions of the one who is beloved.
لا نريد أن نطول عليكم.
We do not want to be too lengthy in what we're saying.
لكن نريد أن يتطول الله علينا وعليكم.
But we wish to Allah to extend upon us and upon you.
ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يرحم موتانا.
We ask Allah to forgive those who've passed away.
وأن يعلي درجاتهم.
And to increase their ranks.
ويكثر حسناتهم.
And to increase their good deeds.
ويضاعف مثوباتهم.
And to multiply their good deeds.
وأن يجعلنا وإياهم من الواردين على حوض حبيبه المحبوب صلى الله عليه وسلم.
And that it can place us at the Hawd, the drinking pool of the
والشاربين كفيه الشريفتين شربة هنيئة مريئة لا نظمأ بعدها أبدا.
Such that we can drink from the hand of the Rasul, from his drinking pool, such that we never feel thirst after it again.
ويجمعنا معهم في مستقر رحمته.
And such that we are united in the abode of his mercy.
وأن يجعل مستقر أرواحهم الفردوس الأعلى.
Such that we make the resting place of our souls the highest echelons of paradise.
مع الحبيب الأعظم صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.
With the greatest of the most beloved, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
مع عباده الصالحين.
With his righteous slaves.
وأن لا يريهم مكروه.
And to not show to them anything disliked or hated to them.
لا في برازخهم.
And not in their graves.
ولا في يوم حشرهم ولا نشرهم.
And not on the day of arising and gathering.
وأن يجعلهم من الذين لا يستمعون حسيسها وهم فيما اشتهت أنفسهم خالدون. كما قال الله سبحانه وتعالى. لا يستمعون حسيسها أي النار.
Or such that they don't hear hasisa, such that they don't even hear the sounds of the hellfire.
وهم فيما اشتهت أنفسهم خالدون.
And such that they eternally with that which they desire.
لا يحزنهم الفزع الأكبر.
Such that the greatest of tribulations does not cause them any anguish.
وتتلقاهم الملائكة.
Such that the angels meet and greet them.
هذا يومكم الذي كنتم توعدون.
And address them by saying, this is the day you have been promised.
وأن يعصم قلوب الكل بالصبر.
And such that Allah bequeaths patience upon the hearts of us all.
وأن يخلفهم فينا بخلف صالح.
And such that Allah bequeaths offspring and those who come after who are righteous.
وأن يجعل موارثهم وأخلاقهم فينا إن شاء الله.
And such He makes their inheritance and their good attributes within us.
وكما جعلنا الله سبحانه وتعالى من أغبط الأبناء بآبائهم وأجدادهم.
And such that Allah has made us
من أغبط الناس أي من الناس الذين يغبطون على آبائهم وأجدادهم، يعني من أفرح الناس، من أسعد الناس بآبائهم وأجدادهم.
Oh, sister, may Allah make us from those who make our forefathers most happy.
أن يجعلهم من أسعد الآباء بالأبناء.
Such He makes them also the most. Such He makes us the most pleased with them, and makes them the most pleased with us.
بأن يجعلنا كلنا والحاضرين والسامعين كلنا بارين بآبائنا.
Such He makes us, all of us that are listening and watching, that He makes us all righteous and good to our parents.
فلا ينسى شخص منا ومن السامعين أن يتصدق أو أن يقرأ أو أن يفعل فعل من المبرات لروح آبائه أو أجداده أو ذوي مشايخه أو ذوي الحق عليه.
Such that we never forget to give charity or to read Qur'an or to do good actions with the intention of sending the reward to our parents and our teachers and those who have rights upon us.
هكذا يكون البر وهكذا تكون الصلة.
That is how one conducts righteousness to one's parents, and that is how one keeps ties of kinship.
وفقنا الله لذلك.
May Allah give us all tawfiq and that.
وأحسن ختامنا عند نزول الحمام.
And may Allah give us a good ending when we approach death.
وأن يجعلنا من الذين سبقت لهم منه الحسنى.
And may Allah make us of those who it has been pre-eternally destined that we have a good end.
وكذلك أن يحسن الختام.
And that He makes good our end.
وأن يرزقنا كمال لذة النظر إلى وجهه الكريم في عافية.
And such that Allah ennobles us with the greatest of gazes upon His noble countenance.
وإلى حضرة النبي سيدنا محمد وآله.
الفاتحة.
استودعكم الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.